Howdy, Space Rangers, Captain Phoenix here. I originally wasn't planning on releasing a video this week, mostly because I was working on another video, which I have no idea if it will turn out good. But the Ahsoka trailer came out last night, and I knew I had to not really react to it, but break it down, because I already watched the trailer. I know, I'm sorry, I was supposed to film my reaction, but I just couldn't help myself. Anyway, it's not like you guys like seeing me react. I don't react well. I don't have a good face, if anything. But yeah, no, I figured I'd still break it down for you. And I know some of you in the back, you'll be like, hey, Phoenix, if you're a Star Wars fan, why do you feel the need to break this down to us? Huh? Don't you already know the show? Well, guess what? This isn't for me. This is for you guys. I want you to be as excited for this show as I am. So I'm going to give you all the key information you need before we go in. Anyway, straw man out of the way, let's react to not react sorry let's break down the second Ahsoka trailer. I'm gonna take you through it step by step. I'll explain what there needs to be explained for the new fans, and I'll give off what seems to be happening in the show. As I said, I'm not giving my expectations. My expectation list is way too long. I just want a good show at the end of the day, and I'm really hoping this is good, so let's get into it.
War is inevitable. One must destroy in order to create. We are no Jedi.
Alright, so it seems that these two dark side users who, oh gosh, I know they had names. I think the old guy was Balin and the young chick is Scully, if I'm not wrong. I can't fully remember. However, I do remember Balin because he is played by Ray Stevenson, who, if you guys don't know, sadly passed away, I think last month. So rest in peace, Ray Stevenson, and I hope the show does give him a proper his character. I do hope like he plays, this last performance of his is really good, and that they pay respects to him at the end of the show. It's just sad to hear when an actor goes before their time, I guess, before, or at the very least before they get to even see the work they did. But yeah, it seems that they have infiltrated some New Republic ship. I love that line he said, "We are no Jedi," because it's a callback to Ahsoka's line in Rebels, "I am no Jedi." So there's definitely been parallels drawn between the two of these parties.
I started hearing whispers of Thrawn's return as heir to the
So this is just stuff from the first trailer, not really much to say here.
Empire.
Okay, but this is new. This is what I want to draw your attention to for a quick second.
Thrawn's return as heir to the Empire.
So this looks to be like some sort of temple site, kind of similar to the one Ahsoka went to in the first trailer. And it seems that it might connect to the Mortis gods, the world between worlds. There is no mural for the Mortis gods here, which is interesting, because in Rebels, in order to connect to the world between worlds, you had to connect to the temple, which had the mural for the Mortis gods. Here, it doesn't seem to be the case, so it might be something different. However, we do see that Balin and his apprentice are coming here, and I'm assuming, again, trying to find a way to the world between worlds, so that might be interesting. Also, I love their ship design in the background. I have no idea. That's not an Imperial shuttle. I have no idea what that ship is, but it looks cool.
What happens when we find Thrawn?
So this chick was in that lady who put her hand over the hologram. Yeah, this chick in the center, she was in Mando season 2. She knew where Thrawn is, or at the very least, she seemed to have connections tying to Thrawn. So it seems she's gonna be a big player in this series. I wouldn't even be surprised if she's like Thrawn's second or third in command, something like that.
Such as you've never dreamed.
And I said they've opened up a hologram in that temple area. They might be, I said, this might be a map that takes him to World Between Worlds. I don't think it's a map to Thrawn, because, why would Thrawn leave a map to himself? Not only that, but Thrawn disappeared without a trace, which is why they're looking for him in the first place. So I don't think it's a map to Thrawn. It might be a map to the World Between Worlds. As said, they could be looking for Mortis Temple. Maybe they want to time travel, pull Thrawn out before he disappeared. That would be interesting. Honestly, if they go back in time to the Rebels finale and pull Thrawn out before Ezra disappeared with him, that would be one hell of a twist. But I don't think they're gonna do that. That's a bit too fan fictiony right there.
Such as you've never dreamed.
This is more stuff from the first trailer. Don't worry about that. Right, here we get more of a sweeping shot of the New Republic Navy. It was like a quick image from the first trailer. Here we get to see how big it is. It does seem like they're preparing for a war. I wouldn't be surprised if this is like a shot from the final episode or something where they're rushing in to fight against Thrawn's new Imperial fleet or something, I'm assuming. Because like, why would there be this many fighter ships,
I've spent most of my life fighting a war.
Here we get to see Hera again. More footage from the first trailer. I have no idea what that disc thing is at the bottom of the ship, but clearly it's something important, so I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine, but you know, I hope that it's something cool. Here's Chopper. I also just wanted to mention, like when I watched the trailer, I noticed how clean he is. If you compare like the Chopper in this trailer to the one in the first trailer, you can tell like they've definitely polished something up. He looks way cleaner here. Same with Thrawn, who'll come up. But yeah, I really like how the visuals look in this trailer. It's a huge upgrade from the first one.
That's why I'm trying to convince you to help me.
As said, this is what Hera looks like in live action. A lot of people are off-put by how she looked in the first trailer. Here she looks a lot better. I can't say it's exactly perfect or one-to-one with her animated version, but as said, translating animation into live action is always a tricky situation. So I do think that they did the best they could here, and it doesn't look bad. I'm not gonna say it looks bad. It looks good for what it is.
Prevent another one.
Here we have Hera and Ahsoka meeting. This isn't the first time they've met. They've met in Rebels. If you're a Rebels fan or if you watched that show, you know exactly what I mean.
You and I both know who could help you with this.
Although I will say about Hera's Lekus is that I don't know if they're supposed to be tattoos or not. Because in this version, they are very much just green. You know, there's no design on them. Whereas I could swear in the animated version, there was like some sort of pattern on them. So maybe she painted them in the animated version. Maybe those are tattoos or something and she got rid of them here. I don't know. It just seems weird seeing her with just straight up plain Lekos, plain green Lekos. It's very weird. Also, another thing I forgot to mention is I hope we get to see Jason in this show. You know, I hope we get to see like a slightly aged up Jason, how Hera's been taking care of him all these years, and whether or not he's force sensitive. Because they kind of imply that he is at the end of Rebels, but we don't see it. So maybe he's force sensitive here. Maybe Luke will get to show up in this show as well. That would be pretty cool. Luke will get to show up. He'll get to train Jason as his own student. Or maybe propose that he takes Jason in as a student to Hera. That would be cool. And it would be nice to see, you know, Kanan Jarrus' kid doing things. It doesn't seem like it. At the very least, we don't see a lot of it here. But at least just a nod to him would be cool.
You and I both know who could help you with this. She's still just as stubborn as ever. I bet you were mad.
Here's Sabine.
Master found you
Jason and E-Wing. That's pretty cool.
at times. Anakin never got to finish my training. I walked away from him, just like I walked away from Sabine.
So this line alone implies a lot of things. It implies that Ahsoka and Sabine did team up at the end of Rebels to go look for Ezra. And somewhere along the way, and then they do mention later on that Ahsoka did train Sabine. So again, that line implies a lot of things. It implies that Ahsoka did try and look for Ezra with Sabine at first, and on the way to look for Ezra, she was training Sabine on how to be a Jedi, how to be a fighter, whatever. And somewhere along the way, Ahsoka kind of just gave up or lost motivation on looking for Ezra and Thrawn, and she kind of left Sabine in the dust. In the end, Sabine decided to return to Lothal, and things kind of progressed as normal, which could explain why she had to cut her hair again. Again, we'll see it later on in this trailer, but it could explain why she had to cut her hair again. Because the first time she was ready to go with Ahsoka, they went. Again, Ahsoka decided to just ditch the mission, and Sabine came back, and now she's ready to go again. And I guess it could explain the cloak change. Maybe the first time Ahsoka met Sabine, she was wearing the white cloak, and now she's wearing the gray cloak. It's a bit off-putting because it does sound like they did one thing, then they gave up, and now this show is doing that thing again. So it's like, why not just do the thing the first time? Again, I don't know how exactly they're gonna go about doing this, but it does imply that Ahsoka and Sabine did try something, it failed, and Sabine decided to come back to Lothal. And Ahsoka just decided to do Ahsoka things, I guess.
You never made things easy for me, Master.
So yeah, that's, I said, what it implies is that Ahsoka did train Sabine for a bit. However, I'm gonna explain something real quick in a scene coming up.
As a Jedi.
Okay, before I actually talk about Sabine, here's Ezra. So, oh gosh, I have seen what Ezra's live action casting looks like. The guy looks great. Of course, he sounds very different than Ezra's voice actor. I forgot who voiced Ezra in the animation. He sounds very different, but it's like something you can easily overlook. I don't really care about it.
Sometimes you have to make the decision no one else can.
And of course, this is a pre-recording from before he left. He is wearing his season 3 and 4 outfit.
You never made things easy for me, Master.
Yeah, so Ezra is wearing his season. So Ezra is wearing his season 3 and 4 outfit, so we can assume that this is a pre-recording from before he left. I'm assuming, if anything, it's probably when he and his friends were planning to how should I say, infiltrate that Imperial base and blow it up. So this could have been just around the Rebels finale.
Jedi, sometimes you have to make the decision no one else can. But I'm counting on you to...
Yeah, and then we see Sabine cutting her hair. So this this cutting hair sequence could have happened at either 1 or 2 points. This could have happened right after the Rebels finale, when Ahsoka and Sabine originally went to look for Ezra the first time and she cut her hair, because it is how she looked like at the end of the Rebels TV show. Or it could be the second time Ahsoka came by and said, hey, I got a lead on Thrawn, let's go. And Sabine decides to join her, thus cutting her hair again. Again, it does seem weird that they're implying that they did things twice, but, I'm willing to go with whatever the show's giving me.
see this through.
I will miss Sabine's long hair though. Like, the long colored hair looks great, but I understand why they had to cut it for consistency purposes, just to fit up with where her character ended in Rebels.
Haircut.
Yeah, as we can see that. August 23rd, mark your calendars, people! Ahsoka is fighting the droids and the Inquisitor, as we saw in the first trailer. This is interesting. So, okay, in the first trailer it was just the Inquisitor, so here it seems she's fighting droids as well. I am loving the lightsaber action here, though. There is a lot of lightsaber fighting going on, which is way more than I can say for like shows like Kenobi, or even like, I want to say it to an extent, Book of Boba Fett, where it's just a lightsaber shows up and it's like, yay, what are you gonna do with it? So I really like how there's a lot more lightsaber action going on in this trailer. So it seems that this show might just have some sick action scenes.
Sometimes we have to do what's right.
Here they have the portrait from the Rebels show. I love this portrait. They really adapted this perfectly to live action, especially Ezra's design. He looks exactly like he did in the animation. Hera, slightly smaller eyes, I don't mind it. That's such a tiny nitpick. It doesn't even matter. I wish we could get to see the whole portrait in its full, just so I could see everyone and how they really adapted this portrait perfectly. But it looks so great. This is one of the few things they translated from animation to live action perfectly. I could stare at this all day. And I even love the little Kanan in the corner. That's cool.
Regardless of our personal feelings.
Here we get to see a Purrgil. For those who don't know, Purrgil are basically space whales in the Star Wars universe. They can travel from point A to point B. They can travel from point A to point B using hyperspeed. Hyperspace travel. Basically, they they can travel through hyperspace naturally. They have like that ability built into them. And these are the creatures that took Ezra and Thrawn away at the end of Rebels. So if you want to find Ezra and Thrawn, follow the Purrgils. I guess that's what this show is gonna do, I'm assuming.
Buckle up. If we don't stop Thrawn, everything will...
Here we have live action Thrawn, ladies and gentlemen, and he's played by his voice actor from the animation, Lars Mikkelsen. Let me just say he looks great. I remember there were some images that were leaked from Star Wars Celebration that portrayed live action Thrawn, and a lot of people didn't like it. They're like, oh, the CG looks so crappy, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And it's like, guys, you took a grainy photo from a screen at Star Wars Celebration. You didn't even let him clean it up. I said it looks way more cleaner here. He looks great in this trailer. I love how they captured the red eyes and all that stuff. So Thrawn looks great in this trailer. You can tell they definitely cleaned up some of the effects. And him and Chopper, again, they look really clean. Cannot wait to see the final product if we give them a bit more time.
be in vain.
Here we have Sabine putting her arm out. A lot of people thought she was going to use the Force. I'll touch on that in a second. Alright, this is the scene I wanted to talk about. So, Sabine is using Ezra's lightsaber. There is a lot I want to unpack with this. First of all, for those who watched Rebels, or for Rebels fans, again, this is a moment out there for us. I literally screamed when I saw this because, well, at least there was another promo for this that showed Sabine using Ezra's lightsaber. I'm not going to bother putting up the promo. It's like a very short promo. But for any Rebels fans out there, or anyone who's familiar with Rebels, you know why this is so important. For those who don't know, in the Rebels TV show, Sabine had to train to use a Darksaber in order to get control of Mandalore back from, what's his name? Gal Saxon, who worked for the Empire. And in doing so, she needed to train how to use a lightsaber. And so Kanan and Ezra taught her how to use it in the animation. Don't let this trailer fool you. Ahsoka never taught Sabine how to use a lightsaber. Kanan and Ezra, her friends, her former Jedi friends, taught her how to do it in the first place. If anything, from what this show is implying, Ahsoka just helped her refine her lightsaber style, her lightsaber fighting style, which is pretty cool. Now, a lot of people are confused. Mostly, I'm assuming these are the people who do not watch Rebels. But in this earlier scene where we saw Sabine putting out her hand, yeah, a lot of people thought she was going to use the Force, which leads a lot of people to think that she is Force sensitive. Let me just put an end to that right now. Sabine is not Force sensitive. She was never implied to be Force sensitive in Rebels. And I'm not really a huge fan of wanting her to be Force sensitive. I really do think that the Force kind of loses its mysticism and uniqueness if everyone can use it. I feel like what's the point of this magic system if everyone can use the magic? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like the Force is should very much just belong to certain people around the galaxy. Um, so I don't think Sabine is trying to use the Force here at all. However, because she is taught by Ahsoka, who let's remember is also not a Jedi. Ahsoka, she may fight like a Jedi and she may do some things a Jedi does, but she's not a Jedi. She walked out of the Jedi Order. So a lot of people were theorizing that Sabine is training to be a Jedi. She's gonna be like the first non-Force sensitive Jedi. That's also not the case because Ahsoka isn't a Jedi. There is no way in hell Sabine would be a Jedi. It's a cool thought and a really awesome fan fiction thought, but at the end of the day, no, Sabine, I don't think she's training to be a Jedi, nor does she want to uphold the principles of being a Jedi. On top of that, she's a Mandalorian, and Mandalorians and Jedi have completely different values and principles that they need to follow. It would be very hard for Ahsoka to walk that line, I would say, unless, we're talking about the ancient Mandalorians like Tor Vizsla, or a lot of people are predicting Grogu will be the next Mandalorian Jedi. But not Sabine. I don't think Sabine wants to go down that path. So I don't think she's force sensitive. I don't think it's good to make her force sensitive. It would be good to make her force sensitive. It's just unnecessary. I think it's best if she's just a regular person who can handle a lightsaber well. Mandalorians have shown that they can do this before, and it would be great for Sabine to also do this. As said, she was very skilled with it in the Rebels TV show, so I'd like to see how well her craft has been refined in this show, especially now that she's been taught by basically three Jedi, Kanan, Ezra, and now Ahsoka, who, as I said, isn't really a Jedi, but was a Jedi before, so it technically counts. So yeah, I am very happy to see Sabine using Ezra's lightsaber. As said, Ezra gave it to Chopper in the Rebels finale, and then Chopper gave it to Sabine so that they could escape the Imperial area, the Imperial base. Um, and I can't wait for Sabine to meet Ezra in this series again, and like she gives it back to him, and then he uses it as well. We get to see how a Jedi, uses a lightsaber in this situation as well. It'll just be good. I think this lightsaber is just very important, just based on the hands it passes through in the different ways it's used to fight. It's cool. I love it. You love to see it. I'm not complaining.
Anakin spoke highly of you.
I was gonna mention this after the trailer's over, but I might as well mention it now. So, for those who've been keeping aware, Anakin has been name dropped in this trailer twice, and on top of that, the official poster for the show that came out alongside this trailer has Ahsoka doing Anakin's lightsaber stance. So I don't know about you, but all of this is implying that we might get Anakin in this show. We might get Hayden Christensen arriving in this show in some way, shape, or form. A lot of people want him to come back in like a Clone Wars flashback, where like Ahsoka flashes back to the Clone Wars, and we get to see how Anakin and maybe Obi-Wan going on a mission together. I'm Well, that's a good idea. I really do like the idea on paper. I would prefer if they made some new scenes. While I don't mind them flashing back to the Clone Wars, it has to be a scene from the Clone Wars that we haven't seen in the TV show. It has to be like its own completely original scene. I don't want them to recreate the animated scenes in live action, because I also saw some people saying, they want Ahsoka and Anakin to meet, except they wanted to flash back to the last time they met in the Clone Wars. I don't want that. All right, I don't want us to recreate scenes from the animated version. It's just weird, and again, they're probably gonna end up breaking canon or retconning something, some way, somehow from that. I want them to make their own scene. So if we're gonna flashback to the Clone Wars, I want it to be an original flashback that just happened at some point in those 3 years. Or, and this is my personal opinion because it helps resolve everyone's issues, we get a Force Ghost scene. I want Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, because you can't have Ahsoka and Anakin talk without Obi-Wan. You need the entire trio. You need the three of them. They're the power trio. So I want Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor reprising the roles as Anakin and Obi-Wan as Force ghosts in the present talking to Ahsoka. That would be cool. Not only is it a completely original scene that we wouldn't find in any other show, but it would also help boost whatever Ahsoka is going through. I just think a Force Ghost scene with the two of them, or at the very least, if Disney wants to be stingy, at the very least, just give us Hayden as Anakin. That would be great. But yeah, Anakin has been name dropped twice, and Ahsoka is using his lightsaber stance in the poster. A lot of signs are pointing to Hayden coming back as Anakin, which I'll be very happy for. And if we get Ewan in there as well, I'm just over the moon. Wait until he calls us Snips. Only the Clone Wars fans will get that. So yeah, Ahsoka and Balin still fighting that area. I thought that was the area of the world between worlds. However, that doesn't seem to be the case. So if you guys remember in my first trailer breakdown, I said I thought this was the world between worlds. That Ahsoka and Balin somehow found a way to this area, and now they're fighting like for control of the timeline or whatever. However, based on this trailer now, this area does seem like it's the same ruins from before, where like Balin, his apprentice, and that chick open the star map. As I said, the star map that would probably lead them to a world between worlds. So it seems like Ahsoka just kind of joined them here as well. This isn't the world between worlds. It's the same temple, same ruins as at the beginning of the trailer. You can see the stone formations are the same. Literally everything is the same with this thing. Yeah, it's the same place. So this is not the world between worlds. I was wrong. But I'm not gonna beat myself up over it. It was literally a trailer breakdown. It really does not matter. So yeah, here we have Ahsoka chasing down a ship. After blowing up. Okay, this seems to also be in the first episode because she's running away from the temple, or at the very least, she's running away from that first temple we saw where she was fighting those droids. So, she must have done something to blow up that place.
Trust my past.
I will say, again, the visuals here look really good. And she's aided by this droid who, as I said, would help younglings. In my first breakdown, he helped like younglings form their lightsaber. So he's a very Jedi-centric droid. Like, he knows a lot of stuff. He's been to
A lot of work to do.
Once a rebel, always a rebel.
Of course, that's such a cool line because it's the Ghost Crew, they're all rebels. I wonder if we'll get a full-on Ghost Crew reunion because even Dave Filoni, the creator of this show, he did, I remember he said somewhere, I'm not 100% sure, maybe it wasn't him, but I remember he said somewhere that this show is basically Rebels Season 5, and I could not agree more. If you're a fan of Rebels, you very much know you need to watch this show as a continuation of where Rebels ended, and it would be so cool seeing the Ghost Crew back together. So far, we have Sabine, we have Hera, we saw Zeb in The Mandalorian Season 3, so maybe he could come back for that. Who else was in the Rebels crew? Chopper is here as well. We know Chopper is here. Kanan, he's not here around. He's dead, sadly. Ezra, they're looking for Ezra, obviously. Who knows, they might bring characters like Agent Callas back. That'll be cool. I mean, that one's a bit too, that one's a bit too fan servicey, but it would be cool to see Callas back. I wouldn't mind that. And we have Ahsoka here, who everyone agrees is just the extra seventh member of the Ghost Crew. I love how everyone agrees that Ahsoka's just Luke's big sister at this point. She's already a part of the Skywalker family, even though she doesn't need to try to say she is or isn't. Again, it's just a scene of Ahsoka fighting. No, Ahsoka, sorry, Sabine fighting. Yeah, it's Sabine in her Mandalorian helmet fighting. This could be a bounty hunter. Cause there is a scene in this same forest where Ahsoka fights an Inquisitor. This is not the Inquisitor, they don't have the helmet, so don't worry about that. Ahsoka fighting mobile droids, that's fine, whatever. Ship battle, crazy, Hera. Here we go, the Inquisitor. So, this is what I was gonna mention. So, as you can see, the helmet is completely different from the other thing. So that bounty hunter droid thing, that's not the Inquisitor. So a lot of people have theories on who this Inquisitor is. A lot of people think it's Barriss Offee, who was like Ahsoka's rival, sort of, from the Clone Wars, because she was arrested at the end of the Clone Wars, and we never saw her since. A lot of people assume she just died in Order 66, but we don't have any confirmation what happened to her character. I'm not huge on this Inquisitor being Barriss, because Barriss in the Clone Wars was like such a minor character. She had like 5 episodes with Ahsoka in total, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, she did frame Ahsoka for a crime, but she wasn't a prominent character, I would say. So bringing Barriss to be the Inquisitor in this show just seems, I don't even want to say fan service. That's just way too hardcore. Only the most hardcore fans will get that. So it just doesn't make sense why they would make it Barriss. In my opinion, they might as well just make it a completely original character. I had my personal theories as to who this Inquisitor was. I thought it was the 8th brother from the Rebels TV show. And yeah, the 8th brother basically doesn't have a character. But at the same time, he kind of died off screen. So it's like, body or it did happen. But then I also realized that it's most likely also not the 8th brother. Because even though the helmet kind of does look similar, for one, the 8th brother is as much of an obscure character as Barriss, if not more so, because he only showed up for like 1 episode. And B, it turns out that this Inquisitor is human. The 8th brother was like an alien of some sort, and so the fingers don't match up, the body length doesn't match up, so it's very much not the 8th brother, sadly. I thought my theory would come true, but it's not. So, if anything, I think that this Inquisitor might just be a completely original character. This could be was it the 13th sister I predicted in my first trailer? That's still on the table. Or it could be, Balin's apprentice, who's now decided to don an Inquisitor outfit for some reason. For what it's worth, it does mean that we're gonna get at least 2 to 3 dark side characters in this show, and I am very hyped for that. I am glad we're getting a lot more Force user action, and I'm glad we're getting a lot more lore on the Force. I feel like we haven't gotten much depth in the Force. Like, we've seen what the everyman looks like in Star Wars, through shows like Andor and Book of Boba Fett, but we haven't really gotten a show or a project that focuses on just the mysteries of the Force, and I'm glad this show is doing that, which is why I'm just so excited for it, because you guys know the Force is why I love Star Wars. It's why I come to Star Wars, so definitely hyped for that. Yeah, then, as I said, the two of them are fighting in the same forest as before. So there's definitely something going on in this forest. There's definitely a lot of action, because Sabine is fighting the droid slash bounty hunter. Ahsoka is fighting the Inquisitor. I think there was a previous scene where, oh crap, what was it? Not Hera. I think the two dark side users were here as well. There's a lot of stuff happening in this forest. I have no idea what's going on. And we're getting a 2-episode premiere. So not only mark your calendars, folks, but sit down, because that 2-episode premiere is basically a movie. We're getting 2 40-minute episodes. I'm strapped in. I'm buckled and ready to go. I am so hyped for this series. And yeah, that's the Ahsoka trailer breakdown. I've tried to give you everything I can. No, go back. Go back to the title card. Bad trailer. Yeah, I've tried to give you everything I can, guys. I've tried breaking it down as best as possible. All the references we've seen, all the potential cameos we might get. And this isn't even digging into the craziest stuff we might get. Because I know a lot of, I mentioned Callus may be a character who shows up. A lot of people want Rex to show up. A lot of people want Timur Merson to play Rex, to have him come back. And while at this point, it's not entirely confirmed whether or not he might come back, he should. I feel like Rex should come back. He's one of Ahsoka's closest friends. He needs to come back. Although timeline-wise, he might be just a bit too old to be alive. So if anything, we'll probably just see him in retirement somewhere, just sitting in bed or something, or sitting out on the porch, drinking a cup of cocoa, which I will still be happy with. But yeah, if we get to see Rex, I will be down for that. So I've also seen a lot of, on top of that, I've also seen a lot of people get confused about where this show sits on the timeline. They're not sure whether it takes place like right after Return of the Jedi, or right after Rebels, or whenever. I'm here to clarify things for you. Basically, this show is jumping all over the place in time. There's a lot of places in the timeline it takes place in, so let me just try and break it down for you. Most likely, the beginning of the show is going to take place right after Return of the Jedi, or at least a year or two after Return of the Jedi, where Ahsoka goes to find Sabine, and the two of them go to look for Ezra. And as said, Ahsoka will probably lose interest in the hunt, and Sabine will go back to Lothal. Then we're going to have to do a time skip to The Mandalorian Season 3, which, if you don't know, The Mandalorian Season 3 takes place like 11 years, no, not 11 years, like 9 years after Return of the Jedi, if I'm not wrong. So, is it 9 or 7? 7 years, sorry, 7 years after Return of the Jedi. So, right after Rebels, we're probably going to get a time skip 5 to 7 years afterward, where we'll join up with The Mandalorian Season 3, Thrawn will be back, and then the galaxy will prepare to go on an all-out war with him as he tries to resurrect the Empire. And that's mostly it. Yeah, I feel like in terms of timeline-wise, we're also gonna get a lot of flashbacks. I said we're probably gonna get a flashback to the Clone Wars, or a flashback to Rebels if they want to adapt a scene from the animation, which I said I hope they don't do. Leave the animated stuff as is, but they'll probably want to adapt some scene if they want to flashback. We'll probably flashback to Balin and Scully. I swear I don't know her name. Scully's backstory. There's a lot of things they could do. So yeah, this show is going to be jumping all over the place in the timeline, but just know the two main areas we're going to have is right after Return of the Jedi, and then alongside Mandalorian Season 3, if not slightly after. That's where the main narrative will be, around the time of Mandalorian Season 3, 7 years after Return of the Jedi. So I hope that cleared up the timeline issue for you. But yeah, what do you guys think of the Ahsoka trailer? Are you hyped for this series? I am so unbelievably hyped. I am praying that this show is good. I really hope we don't get another Kenobi where it talks a big game and the show didn't really deliver. So Disney, don't disappoint. But at the same time, I have faith in this show. I have a lot of faith that this show is gonna do well. Because not only is it being made by Dave Filoni, who, if you guys know me, you know I love Dave. I definitely think he's the future for Star Wars. He gets Star Wars, and on top of that, he was trained by George Lucas himself. So if anyone's gonna carry the mantle of Star Wars, it should be Dave. And on top of that, like I said, Dave is a huge love of animation. He's made 2 animated projects before this one. Like, Dave just gets Star Wars, if you know what I'm saying. He knows what he's doing. So Dave Filoni's working on this show. I have full faith in him. And from what I've heard, Kathleen Kennedy didn't interview with this show. Like, there's very few studio interruption with this show. So Kathleen Kennedy doesn't have as much hold over it as the other ones, like Andor, for instance. So I have a lot of faith that this show will do well. I'm just praying it's good. They took their time with the writing, they planned everything out, they paid attention to the law, and they know what the fans want. Clearly, Dave knows what the fans want. He's bringing so many characters back from Rebels. It's just insane. So I'm just hoping that this show is good and that it's quality Star Wars once again. Because I really don't feel like anything Star Wars related has impacted me hard in the last couple years. Like, yeah, we had amazing things like Tales of the Jedi, the Jedi games. Um, but I feel like the last time Star Wars truly left a mark on me that's been hard to forget was Clone Wars Season 7. So if we could get something to that same quality or even just near it, I will be more than happy. So yeah, Dave, I'm trusting you. Make Star Wars amazing again. That's all I ask for. I have a lot of expectations. I don't expect every single one of them to be met, but I do hope that this show is awesome and that the final product is just good enough. So yeah, anyways, guys, that's it for today. That's the Ahsoka trailer breakdown. Cannot wait for this show. How excited are you for this show? Did you watch Rebels? What do you hope that they'll bring from that show to this one and that they'll pay off, so on and so forth? And yeah, thank you so very much, guys, for watching. I'll be Captain Phoenix, and with that, I will see you in another universe. Goodbye, my Rangers. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Alright, bye, my Rangers.